Howdy y'all, and welcome to the Stay Creative Podcast, a show dedicated to celebrating independent artists and sharing their art and story. I have found that when we listen to a person talk about their passion, we can take some of it for our own. So this show is also dedicated to you, the listener, not only becoming a fan of the guest's work, but also taking another step towards growing as an artist and loving the artist you already are. The world is a better place with you and your creations in it, and I am grateful for this time that I get to share my current favorite artists with my future favorite artists. Today I am talking with the members of Minor Inconvenience. They're a progressive rock band from North Ireland. They're going to be sharing some insights and encouragements and some of their own experience revolving around the topic of playing in and with a band, as well as sharing some things that they've learned in regards to their own instrument and writing. Here at the beginning, you'll hear their song Chrysalis. In the middle, we'll listen to Hubris. And at the end, we'll hear Over the Top.
I'm unselfish.
Well, thank you guys very much for agreeing to talk to me, share some of your experience, your insights, and of course your very rocking music with me. And is it an old man thing to call music rocking these days?
I don't think so.
No? Okay,
Not
good, because
really.
it is. It's rocking.
Only if it rocks.
Yeah. So I want to give everybody a moment before we get into the actual music and the theme of today's show to introduce yourself, introduce your band.
I'm Chris. I play bass and I'm the main vocalist for the band Minor Inconvenience, which is a really cool hard rock band with elements of stoner rock and prog.
Now, if really cool isn't an old man thing to say, then I think rockin' also. So we're on the same page.
So yeah, I'm David. I'm one of the guitarists in the band. I'm playing guitar for like 10 years. Me and Chris have been jamming for like 6 or 7, so band's a long time coming. We're finally starting to make some great music and get it out there, so yeah.
Is any of the music that is in Minor Inconvenience something that you guys have had for a good deal of those 6 years?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The song, I think the last song we're playing today, Over the Top, that is literally like 7 years old. It's changed over the years and got better, but it's hung around. A lot of the others haven't.
I'm James. I'm the drummer for the band. I have not been around for the 7 years. Robbie and myself came in just under a year ago.
About a year ago.
From another band.
I feel like there's this like sad image of like the other half of a band just like standing there like, what do we do now? That other band
with half our songs. It was a 3-piece and he's in another band now, so it all works out.
Yeah. Nice. Well, Robbie, I've heard some rumors about you already from James just now. You've been in the band about a year and your name's Robbie.
I am Robbie, and I am one of the newer members. I play guitar and mainly rhythm, but with the occasional rocking solo. Yeah, that's really it. Just
So, I didn't ask this, but I think it's an important question. Who's your like guitar hero, Robbie?
Ollie Steele, John Brown from Monuments.
Now, what about you, James?
I have such like a mixed taste in music. I listen to so many like different aspects of different drummers. I really like Gabe Elguera from I Prevail.
Okay.
He's a really cool guy, but also because obviously from the proggy side of things that we quite like. I'm a massive fan of Mike Portnoy, Mike Mangini, Dan Carey, those kind of guys. Really unbelievable, unrivaled kind of drum parts.
The drummers. Yeah.
Yeah.
David, who are your guitar heroes, man?
Oh man, it's a tough question. Like I went through a lot of phases. Like I started off learning Nirvana and stuff, and then obviously had to move on to more advanced stuff. So like just all over the place. A lot of Muse, a lot of Avenged. I like riffs.
Chris, are there bass heroes in the world? I mean, really?
Definitely.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Oh, just get me started. I don't know if I could pick one. Like, if I had to pick one, I would probably say Mike Kerr from Royal Blood. But my top 3 would definitely be Justin Chancellor from Tool, Chris from Muse, and then Mike Kerr from Royal Blood. Those are like my 3 pillars for which I just steal all of my influence from.
It is an important practice when you hear music you like to follow those people's inspirations up that like artistic family tree. I want to get into today's theme, which as you all know, but the potential listeners, who knows if there are listeners, we don't even know, have probably guessed by now, is very much just a conversation about playing with a band, because I have been in bands that were very harmonious. I've been in bands that were people who met up once a month and didn't talk between. I've been in bands that fell apart tragically, so I feel like a band is not always the close-knit, tight group of friends that they look like from the outside. Now, I want to go into some of the times your band has and has not maybe been that. So the first thing I'd like to go through would be favorite part of playing in a band as opposed to a solo project or even an internet collaboration.
I think it's just something as simple as being able to create something unique and powerful with friends. I did a couple of years ago, I tried doing a sort of solo project called Malice. It was part of a music course I was doing. It's fun to like just get lost in your head and make your own music with no one else to be like, no, I think that idea is stupid or you should do this instead. But it's very sort of isolating, and I kind of like the dynamic of having other people to bounce ideas off. Yeah, it creates a much more interesting portfolio of music.
you're not just acting, you have an opportunity to kind of react to other people's ideas as well.
Yeah. Because like other people will have ideas that maybe you didn't think of, or maybe one of your ideas that you think is really cool is kind of stupid, and you need some other people's opinions to sort of help you fine tune and refine these sort of creative ideas into something that is as good as it can be.
Well, yeah, I definitely agree with Chris about the adding on to things and expanding your ideas. But I think another big thing makes it better than internet collaborations. It's just like, well, it's more fun being in a room together. And there's also things that you don't focus on. Like you're just playing about with something and you don't think it's a big idea, but someone's like, oh, what's that? Or you're like that riff. Like people will latch on to something that they'll see something in it that you don't yourself necessarily see initially.
Yeah, I don't have the same experience that Pedro and David and Chris have from.
How many members are in this band?
From playing in solo projects or intellect collaborations, I've never done any of that. But one thing we're talking about that I love from being in a band is that if the song isn't quite where it needs to be, it's not necessarily your fault, or at least you don't have to blame yourself. Like if the song, building on that, sometimes you don't have great ideas from Chris there. Like if a song does turn out like that, but you're in a solo project, it's you.
Yeah,
that's the only thing it could be. But no, you can blame it on other people.
Yeah, you get to share the success and the disappointment.
Yeah. I'm a drummer, so it usually gets blamed on me. But like,
hey man, like there's an important. I think there's like a metaphor waiting to happen there. Like the drummer not only carries the beat and the time, but everyone's hopes and dreams. Robbie, what do you think about best part of playing in a band?
My favorite part of playing in a band is seeing the end picture of a song that you've all created together. It's like when we're in practice and we've just finished the song and we've practiced it the whole way through and nailed it perfectly. And then at the end, when you play the final note and you all look at each other and say, that was cool. That is, I would say, my favorite part of being in a band with other people.
There are a few things that you can't do and think about at the same time. And I think playing music live with other people is one of those. Like you have to do it and be it at the same time, So a few people have mentioned this idea that keeps coming up. And I don't use this word when talking about other people's ideas, but you guys have. So here we go. I'm going to use it. When you have brought an idea and a band member has explained to you that it's kind of stupid, how have you gone about finding a good way to resolve that maybe disagreement?
Usually it starts off with a couple shots of Jaeger. That's how we get it good.
You're always so
That's why it's usually 3 a.m. We've all been drinking, and then someone will send in an idea that they've made the day previous or whatever, and then we'll go, I'm not sure about that. Maybe we could bounce it off each other someday and try and figure out how we can make it not just your riff, but everyone's riff, and something that we're all happy with.
Yeah. So that sounds a lot more like recognizing potential in an idea and offering to help it, as opposed to saying that's stupid.
Shooting it down,
Yeah.
This is the thing. I don't play guitar as of yet at all, and I have very little theory knowledge other than sort of the rhythm section of theory, the sort of tempos and time signatures. So when there's any kind of dispute in a band over whether someone doesn't like, say, a riff idea or like placement of different things, it sounds really wishy-washy, but it's a lot more about just kind of how it feels. And if if it just sounds good, I don't know how it sounds good or bad, but kind of takes me out of any kind of argument. Because I have no way of explaining what I think. So when there's arguments about kind of, especially if it's a guitar thing, I'm kind of just a vote because I'm there, because it's not really that I have a real thought about it. But we were we seen this question. We were on our Discord last night, and we seen this question: how do we resolve conflict? And we argued for about 5 minutes on how we resolve conflict.
Yeah.
But it was resolved.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so without getting into your personal workings as a band, what was the argument about? as far as answering this question about resolving conflict?
Well, I had the idea. So we used to have an odd number of members, so it was a lot easier to vote on things. We just vote on things. But when you have an odd number, there's always going to be a majority in some way. But now there's only 4 of us.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
You got to get yourself a tambourine player just to have that final vote.
Well, Chris came up with the idea because he's vocalist on basis he should get 2, but that was vetoed.
Yeah, very, very quickly.
Towards the next sentence.
It's never long.
We tend to have quite constructive arguments with it. No more debates, but yeah, we do just kind of lay all our points out. And if it is a split, I suggested that our 5th member be a coin. David said we've never done that, and so the argument ensued. And he's right, we haven't. But yeah, we usually tend to come to some middle ground.
Yeah, I think one thing that's always worth doing is when you disagree about something is just try it out. Because you can like have an argument where you're like, I don't think that's going to work, and you can stand there and argue about it for 5 minutes. So you can try it out, and you might go, actually, you know what? Yeah, I changed my mind. I do like that.
Yeah.
So try it out. And then also, I guess because the way our songs are the way we write them, there's kind of always like a lead songwriter for every song. You know, someone who started the idea, you know, brought the riff, and like if we really can't get past it at all, I'd kind of just like let them take the lead in it. Like, you know, it started as your song. You know, you can maybe get an extra vote, I guess.
Worst case scenario, if you give the idea a try, you convince yourself that it will work. Best case scenario, you convince the person you're disagreeing with that it won't work.
Yeah.
It's like a scientific experiment to resolve the disagreement. Chris, I feel like as the vocalist, I'm assuming you also write the lyrics. Is that the case?
It kind of varies from song to song. Like there will be like 1 or 2 tracks where I've written all of the lyrics for the most part, and then maybe I'll come to David and be like, here, what do you think of these? You can have it the other way around where like David's written most of the lyrics for this EP. We don't really have a rigid like you do the guitar, you do the lyrics, you do the drums sort of thing. It's very communal in our songwriting approach.
The slight alteration to this question that I was going to ask you, but we'll double back to David for it as well, is I personally feel like someone can tell me my drum beat is terrible, someone can tell me my guitar riff is terrible, but if they talk about my vocalization or my lyrics, I get way more defensive. You know, that feels way more vulnerable to have shown somebody to me. So I wanted to basically get your opinion on this conflict resolution with special focus too when the problem has maybe been your vocals or your lyrics.
Generally, like it just boils down to compromise. If I have an idea that I'm like just tooth and nail just not going to want to change, or if I feel attacked that someone doesn't like it, like maybe I need to sort of hear them out and see what their sort of 2 cents on it is, and whether like their idea may improve it or it may not. But I feel like if there's an instance where there's something that I am very passionately like, this is the direction that I think this thing should be in, I'll be able to come up with a compelling enough justification for it, as opposed to just being like, oh, I don't like that this person is dissing like my lyricism or my vocal melodies or something like that.
You have to be aware if you're defending your idea or your ego at any given moment. Yeah.
Sometimes you can get a bit of an ego about you, but eventually I wise up and realize that, like, you know, they might sing the melodies totally differently. They might want to change a few words, and you know, if they're the ones singing it, that's probably what's going to work out better.
So yeah, the person performing it needs to mean it.
Yeah.
If the first question we asked here was the pros of playing in a band, what are some of the cons?
Scheduling is like is a really difficult thing sometimes. That people have jobs, everyone can't fully like put all of their time to just being available for practicing. Not currently, but before. That can be like a hard thing to get around sometimes.
Have you found an easy way to deal with the scheduling problems?
We'll just say, right, everyone, what days are you free and what time? And we'll all put in our times and just try and find the best time. Usually it's sometime after 5 o'clock anyway, when we're all free.
Yeah. It sounds like maybe the remedy that you guys have been exploring is staying in more regular communication, as opposed to just, you know, trying to say, hey, let's play today. You have probably a group text, or you said you had a Discord. Has that become a Band-Aid on the problem?
Yeah, I think so. Usually I work in like a takeaway, so everything's a little later at night, and then everyone else sort of works during the day. So anytime can we have a band meeting today? I have to go. Yeah, after after 10 or after 11. So that's the only real scheduling issue we
So
find.
you are the scheduling.
Yeah, I'm the issue, really. Yeah. Yeah, but no, because we have the Discord, and because we all don't really sleep at the same time as the rest of the world, so it's we can just sort of quite happily sit up till 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
Chris, we'll start with you. In your experience playing in other groups with David, is he flaky or are you flaky?
Mr. and Mrs.
He's like totally the most unreliable now.
Oh no!
I feel like we're both on the same waveform in terms of like prioritizing music when it needs to be, because obviously like we both have like our own day jobs, or like we've had like university commitments and stuff like that in the past, so obviously like they'll have to take precedent during certain points during the day or during the week or whatever, but like for the most part we're both equally sort of passionate and engaged in the music, and we both want to be able to sort of see it through.
That's good. That's a really kind and good answer, I think, for the longevity of your band.
I appreciate it.
I think also, like, just listening to you talk about that, you touched on something that I've heard expressed before, and that is that you seem to have an understanding of the ultimate goal, a shared understanding, a shared goal for this band. It's not a weekend, let's drink and jam. You both want this band to quote unquote go somewhere.
We have had members in the past, whenever we've had like previous iterations of this project, where maybe there's someone that just sees it as a hobby and they don't really care about the logistics behind like a release plan for your EP or the single. They just want the music up online, and if someone listens to it somewhere at some point, like that's all well and good, but that's not where their sort of focus is, which is entirely fair. There's no like right or wrong way to deal with music, but it's just important to make sure that everyone's on the same page.
We're all kind of on the same page, and we all kind of help out in different ways. Chris, he took charge of all the DistroKid side of things, getting all that set up. I've been looking through finding playlists and stuff we can submit to. Robbie, he knows a lot. Robbie and James, they know a lot of like the Instagram advertising and all that kind of side, how all that with the social stuff, they're focused on that side, and we're all just kind of sharing it around.
I don't know that I can congratulate you for finding a band that works so well together, because it sounds like
it's taken many iterations.
Yeah, it sounds like you stumbled into it, but it does sound like it works really well, man. What is something you've learned in your own experience playing with a band that you believe is an essential piece of information, or just a essential tip for people who want to be in a band or maybe already are?
I'd probably say one of the big ones, like especially for people that are singing and performing, or like that have the sort of the spotlight shone on them in terms of the band. Like with me being like bass and vocals, I'm kind of the impromptu like person that people will end up focusing on, just because I'm the person that the words are coming out of a lot of the time. You have to mean what you're playing and what you're saying. It needs to have some sort of personal quality, at least for me. And like I remember there's a Guitar Center interview with James Hetfield where he was saying about how whenever he started out, he was really shy growing up, so music was kind of like the voice he never had, and it was his way of expressing himself and telling the world about himself whenever he wasn't able to do it by himself. It takes some time to, whether it's just getting used to the lyrics, or maybe you think a word or a phrase sounds better here than what's currently there, or even just if you need to tweak vocal melodies to make it feel more like your own, or even if like you, sometimes it's just playing the songs enough helps you get into the headspace where it's like I mean these lyrics, and this is like my message almost now.
It kind of comes back to giving the idea a try. Like you can't you can't act on that first reaction or impulse you have. Like you owe your song, you owe your bandmates more than a 2-second decision.
The big one is probably that thing we already talked about the making sure everyone's in the same place. But another thing that's really important is be willing to keep working on learning your instrument and learning from each other. Because it's just, if you're in a band with someone who, they're not really practicing, they're not learning new things, they're not learning from the other members, and it just, especially over time, you'll start to see the other members just get better and better, and that person kind of stagnates, and it just makes it a lot harder to work with. Just being in the band and really wanting to be in the band isn't just about, wanting to write the songs and wanting to work. Just become a better musician as well, like in whatever form that takes. Yeah, like you never want to be the best musician in the room, and I feel like we simultaneously accomplish that because we're all like, we've got some different styles going on and we have some different inspirations, so we can all learn from each other in different ways.
That's excellent. Yeah, I think that's essential. Awesome. James, what about you? What would you say are some, especially this is I'm gonna figure out a way to put like a sound cue here for the drummer's corner. We're gonna nerd out about being the drummer in a band real quick. Tell me what's essential to being the drummer of a band.
Never listen to the guitarist. No. There's some projects where they're very much run by one person. And if that works for you, that works for you. But in most cases, that's ultimately destructive. I think what's really important is to just respect everyone equally, even if the idea someone comes up with, you do think, yeah, no, to use our term we've been using a lot, that's stupid. Be able to say it in the right way, and if everyone respects each other the same way, everyone can take on that criticism the same way, rather than there being one sort of dictator over the entire band. Yeah. I think that's what I love about this band, is that everyone sort of listens to each other, even if you think someone's wrong, and even if so obviously everyone makes jokes about like drummers and sometimes vocalists. People make bassist jokes, but we can't make that in this band because the bassist is so melodic. It's really annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all those jokes go down to the rhythm section. But it's even if say I don't play guitar, but if something in the guitar just felt off, I know that I'll be able to say that, and there wouldn't be too much pushback, and people would actually be able to talk about it. Likewise, I know, for example, like Chris doesn't play drums, but if he said anything about a drum part didn't feel right, we would have a proper conversation about it and actually be able to either get to the bottom of it or fix it and make it better.
Yeah.
And I think even if someone doesn't have an area of expertise in your instrument, obviously it's a lot easier for like Robbie and David to say things about each other because they're both playing the same instrument and they're both very much, that's their area. But even cross instruments, you still have to respect what everyone's saying. Yeah,
absolutely, man.
I think a really big one that everyone needs to have is to be realistic with yourself and with what's gonna happen, because like not all bands are all lovey and never have any issues, or not all bands will go on make massive world tours. So you need to be realistic with yourself and not like freak out when something doesn't happen or when you get kicked down.
Yeah, it's saying like being realistic about what you expect your band to be and how you expect them to get along. It makes me think of how, when you're in your very first, maybe dating relationship, every like disagreement feels like the end of the relationship.
Yeah.
But once you're married or you're in like a long-term relationship, you can argue, and that's just part of communicating in that relationship. Like that's an important part of being able to voice your disagreements, So the last thing I'd like to talk about before we move, to the end of the episode is just what's a moment or an inspiration that you've picked up that has become just essential to the way you approach playing guitar.
One thing I do a lot is blend different people's ideas that I've heard together into different styles. So for instance, John Brown, the guitarist that I really like, talks about how he would downpick nearly everything just because it sounds better, kind of like James Hetfield would. But you typically wouldn't see that in stoner rock or like kind of hard rock style. But I like to bring that in, and along with other sort of technical metal kind of ideas to like kind of blend them together.
Yeah.
That my playing.
You're bringing one feel and one style together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool idea. James, what about you?
Mine's not a million miles off Robbie's, because I listen to my Spotify is just a mess. It's got Robbie will kill me for saying this, but it's got jazz in there. Like I have Hamilton the musical and Tool in one playlist. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So given how big the variety of music I listen to it is, I like to try and incorporate things that I like from other genres that might to see if they work in the realm of what we're doing.
Yeah.
We have one song that one band member would say is like a hard rock song, but I would say it's a blues song. It's more or less the same as Robbie, just like sort of bringing elements of all the different, all your different things all into one place.
I guess it's kind of very similar to James, is what I would say. Just like, I have a broad range of influences. Like, I started out very much classic rock before I got onto heavier music, and like my favorite artist would probably be Bowie, which his music sounds a bit different to ours, but I think, I try and bring maybe a bit of that in the melody writing. Like, the melodies will definitely get changed a bit, but, it's that starting melody that would usually, I think that's one of my strengths, is writing melodies.
With regards to the sort of instrumental side of things with playing bass, like there's a lot of bands that I would listen to, and like the guitars and the drums and the vocals and everything sound amazing, but the bass will just be like sort of playing the root note of what the guitar is playing, and it's just kind of like, it's like something to make the other elements of the composition better, but it's not doing anything interesting itself. So it's just kind of like polishing up the other elements as opposed to being its own really good unique thing. So like one of the things I would try to do, especially because like my main influences with playing bass are the likes of Justin Chancellor from Tool or Chris from Muse, where they have very distinct sounds and melodies, and like I can hear Justin Chancellor's bass, like even if it's just like one riff, and I can instantly tell that that's him playing it, because it's unique and it has its own sort of style of playing, its own tone. And that's like probably the main thing instrumentally that I've tried to sort of craft a unique sort of tone. Like I remember I spent like, I went through like a 3-year Royal Blood binge. I spent like a year trying to just perfectly replicate that bass tone, just because it was amazing. I bought all the pedals, but like it's just someone else's tone. I'm just doing their thing again. So I had to make adjustments to make it unique to me and sound the way I would want it to sound. And I think that makes it much better in the long run. But and like I would make a conscious effort to make bass that is interesting melodically, even if it's not like really technically complex or anything like that. Just something that sounds unique. Like the intro riff to Hubris is a good example, because like that's a really cool. It's almost like a lead guitar line, but it's on bass, and it's unique, and it sort of grabs your attention more so than if the bass was just kind of following what the guitar was doing verbatim. On the sort of lyrical side of things, the lyrics that I have written, and like some of them are for songs that like we're still in the process of working on and iterating on and stuff like that. But like for my lyrical contributions to the band, I try and make the sort of the theme or the content of the lyrics something that's personal to me, or that draws from my life experiences in some way, or is maybe there's something on my mind that I just really need to get off my chest, so I can put that into the lyrics, and it's therapeutic and cathartic, and it helps just make it more unique and sort of personal almost.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny, James has brought up, everybody's kind of brought up this idea of like, even if I can't technically explain something, if the feel isn't there, I can explain that. And fans and listeners are the exact same way. If the feel isn't there, they're going to say, well, yeah, I could listen to, there's a million metal bands, there's a million prog rock bands that I could listen to. Like, I need someone to be honest with me, and that is what is going to make this music feel alive and feel tangible and feel real to people. And I think I can't go on and talk about that without explaining one more time how much you guys have of that in just the music I've heard so far of your work. Speaking of your work, I would like to point out that when this episode releases Saturday, we will be 6 days away from the single releasing, which will be February 26th. David, why don't you tell me something about the single?
So it's called Chrysalis. It started out as a bass riff. We've had it a long time, and it used to be terrible, but we completely changed it. We really brought that riff to the front. Like in the original version, the riff was like 2 bars in the intro, and then a load of crap other riffs that weren't very good. And then we really focused on that riff. It's a really good song. We've got a really cool video going with it. That
I like the idea that like Robbie's like, I wrote the rest of that song, David. How
don't worry, I think I wrote the bad bits.
Video.
So we got a really cool video.
I didn't know if I could bring up the video. When's the video come out? Same day?
Same day, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. It's
Yeah,
a sweet
same
video,
here.
man.
It's sweet.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we made it with James's dad, and like he's a
Yeah.
really talented videographer. Like that's his job, and we were very fortunate to be working with someone so talented.
Yeah. Shout out James's dad. That's
Oh,
awesome.
he'll be-
James.
Oh, he's never gonna shut up about this now.
Insert shameless plug here.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Literally the
Hey.
most shameless plug we've ever done.
Single February 26th. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Video same day. I'm gonna try to
Yeah.
sync it up so that the audio and the video play at the same time, and I'm just gonna loop it all day. And it's
Yeah,
gonna get
so-
slowly
so-
out of sync until it's chaos. Anyway, and then shortly after that, March 5th, the actual EP comes out. Chris, why don't you
Yeah.
tell me what's the EP called?
Yeah, the EP is called Hubris, and it comes out March 5th. I think that was already said. I don't know why I said that.
I'm probably gonna cut out the part where I said it. I said it like 7 times with a bunch of in between. Yeah, awesome. I'm excited for it.
Oh,
Oops.
and we got some great art from JB. We hired him to do it, and he did a great job.
JB cover art.
definitely.
He's the jam, man.
Yeah.
He's a silent sponsor of this show. He just doesn't even know it. That's awesome. I'm excited to see that cover art. Also, so when it releases March 5th, where all can people find it?
You'll be able to find it on like all of the main streaming platforms like iTunes, Spotify. I was going to say Apple Music, but pretty sure that and iTunes go hand in hand. Amazon Music, like any like streaming platform or like online marketplace for music you can think of, it's
Yeah.
probably up there. And then like obviously we'll be putting them up on like Facebook and like Instagram and all our social platforms as well.
Nice. Yeah. Perfect.
They would say that we were planning to gig, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not-
Not for a
can't-
long time.
Here we go until the breach again. Some must
I'd like to say thank you again to Robbie, James, David, and Chris of Minor Inconvenience. Aside from sharing world premieres of their new upcoming music, I think they shared some really insightful and helpful things about playing in creative projects with other people, specifically in the context of the band that they are. You have to have conversations regularly and honestly about what it is that you are hoping to achieve together, what steps lead to those eventual goals, and what is required and expected of each member to contribute to reach those goals. You have to graciously hold those expectations for one another, but also for yourself, especially in a world where time and energy are commodities to be protected. I think the quality of music that they make as a group, as a band, as a team, speaks for itself and speaks in favor of seeking out the kind of in-person, energetic, and living collaboration that people find in a band context. But also it very clearly speaks to what they mentioned about constantly pursuing your own craft, being able to bring your best self, your best ideas, your best material, and your most open mind and open heart to rehearsals, to gigs, to ideas, to band meetings. Be sure to check out their new EP, Hubris, on March 5th. If you like what you heard today, you can find links for the artist and this show in the show notes. Be sure to go and listen, like, and follow the artist where you can so the algorithm gods are beneficial for them. And share this show, leave a review, like or comment, whatever you can do on the streaming service you use. It would mean a lot to me for the sake of the show, but it would also mean a lot for this show's ability to promote these artists well, to honor the time they are sharing with us, and to love independent music a little bit better. But of course, your time is the first and best gift you can give, so thank you very much for listening. I hope to share more of that time very soon, but until then, please stay courageous, stay curious, and stay creative.